the Niners have a lot of new starters this year. And in the offseason, I was really down on the Niners' plan to sort of trust a lot of these guys. So now we're halfway through the season. I think it's fair to revisit all these guys and give them credit where credit is due.
Grant, they've done a really good job. I started to go through some of these numbers. It is insane how well some of these guys have contributed. Let's start with Ray McCloud. First of all, 10.9 yards per return. That is the best since 2011, Ted Ginn. That's huge. And I know that
for the 49ers or for the league?
49ers.
Okay.
Best for the 49ers. That's sixth in the NFL right now. But that's a major upgrade over anything that they've had since Shanahan's been here.
He's a hell of a returner.
He is.
He's a hell of a returner. Now, one thing that scares me, he's a little bit loose with the ball when he runs.
He is.
And something scares me, like I feel like he might fumble in the NFC Championship. Like I just feel like I don't mean to put that out there. And hopefully I'm jinxing it. Hopefully I'm going to be wrong. But I just feel like it's coming in the worst possible moment. Ray, high and tight, baby. Because he's hella good. But you know what I'm saying? Like, the ball is just out here. I'm like, dog, you fumbled, what, 6, 7 times last year? Be careful. Be careful.
If we get another Kyle Williams situation, I'm going to lose my mind.
I'm trying to jinx it right now because I don't root against the 49ers. And I get that vibe that it's out there.
Don't put that juju on us, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, exactly. Fair enough. But no, he's been – well, the one thing with Ray is when they signed him, they were like, we're giving him all this money. He's more than a returner. He's a gadget. He's a weapon for our offense. Haven't seen that. Maybe there was a plan for him with Trey Lance. They were taking shots to him with Trey Lance early, and it worked. But so far, they really haven't found a role for him in the offense. But he's been such a good returner that it's been a good signing.
Yeah, he's been a good returner, and I will say this too. I went back and I watched. I think it was the Chiefs game. No, it was the Rams game. He's a really good blocker too on offense. Very underrated blocker. And
considering
that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot, but I think he's actually especially for his size, I think he's a good, willing blocker as well.
He's the littlest player I've ever seen. I'm sorry. Maybe not. He's so small.
I'm sure.
He's really little. Yep. He's hella small. Yep.
Okay. Let's move on to Aaron Banks real quick. So Aaron Banks has 0 sacks given up thus far this year, 3 penalties, and a pressure rate of 3.8%. Just for comparison,
wow.
Pro Bowler Laken Tomlinson had a pressure rate of 4% last year. So he's right in line with everything that Laken Tomlinson did as a Pro Bowler.
In addition, he is their go-to puller in the run game. He really blocks well on the move.
Which Laken was not great at. That was his one of his weaknesses.
And Spencer Burford doesn't do it that well either. It is he's almost kind of like Mike Iupati. Or maybe even more mobile than Mike Iupati. Mike Iupati was a rumbler and a stumbler. I didn't like Aaron Banks at all. The fact that he didn't play last year, I wrote him off. But Kyle just doesn't play rookies if he doesn't have to. And then when I saw him in one-on-ones in training camp, I thought he couldn't anchor. But that's just a one-on-one drill with no pads. Some pads. That's not 11-on-11 football. And it seems like he's a good 11-on-11 football player. So I want to say that I was way wrong. And I'm sorry that I doubted the kid from Alameda, man. He's an East Bay kid. Shout out to Aaron Banks. I'm proud of you, man. Nice. Good job. Went to El Cerrito High. Fuck yeah. Good job, dude.
Here's another one. Here's a surprise. Jake Brendel. So this is a guy who gets crushed, and he does for his penalties. I get that. He has 6 penalties, which is not great. However, he has also given up 0 sacks this year, and his pressure rate right now is 1%. Alex Mack last year had a 2% pressure rate. Both very good, but that's actually very impressive. I was surprised by that number. I really was. That's the one that surprised me the most.
Yeah, I'm getting the feeling that Chris Forster, the offensive line coach, is the truth.
He's really good, yeah.
He's a lot like Chris Kasarik. Now, Chris Forster is also the run game coordinator, and I think part of the problem with this team is that he is doing so much work with the offensive line and doing a great job. But there's only so many hours in the day. And Mike McDaniel, he was not a position coach. He spent 24/7 or all of his waking hours thinking about, drawing up plays and stuff and Forrester can't do that because he's doing all this work with the offensive line and doing a great job. So he vouched for Brendel the whole time. Who am I to disagree? I mean, from this point, I kind of feel like I trust Chris Forrester's judgment. And no one ever said Jake Brendel was going to be great, but I was feeling like he could cost them games the way that Hronis Grasu did in the past. It didn't cost him any games. He's been fine.
Yeah, he has. I mean, like I said, the penalties, you definitely want to clean those up. But and there's more that goes into it. Obviously, there's the run game and, how many missed blocks and those types of things. But overall, I think when we're looking at offensive linemen, we expect the 49ers are going to be able to run the ball at a high clip. And they, for the most part, have been able to do that early on with Trey Lance. And now that they have McCaffrey, it shouldn't be an issue. But their pass blocking has been really, really good in some of these areas.
Shout out Beck McKay. That's hilarious. Sorry. Moving on.
All right. Hufanga, which is one that we definitely know. He's been getting crushed a little bit for his missed tackles, which is certainly high. But did you know that he is one interception away this year? If he gets one more interception, he is tied Jaquiski Tartt's career interception number. And he's allowing a passer rating of 29. Tartt last year allowed 88 passer rating.
Look, I'm not surprised about the missed tackles with Talanoa because he's not a plus athlete the way that Jaquiski Tartt is. So he kind of reminds me of he's a football player. He's like Chris Borland at safety.
Yeah.
So the range is going to be a little bit suspect. You're going to see him diving at ankles. He's not quite going to be able to run down people's ear hole like Jaquiski Tartt or Patrick Willis can, like premium athletes. But he's a playmaker. He's intercepting passes. He's breaking up passes. He's good in coverage. I mean, I don't know about man-to-man coverage, but he's good in his role. So, yeah, I was way off. And I think it really underscores you cannot just judge football players based on their athleticism because it's not that kind of a game. It's a very painful, violent game, and some people aren't about that life. I was not. Great athlete. I know you could tell. Great jawline, too, but not about that life. I wasn't. Still aren't. Still not.
Move over, yeah. Jimmy. Your jawline is no longer number one. All right, and here's the best one, Grant, because Charvarius Ward was their big signing this offseason, and he got roasted against the Chiefs. There's no doubt about that. However, he has 0 touchdowns he's given up this year. If we remove the Chiefs game where he did have a hamstring injury, he's only given up 13 catches for 142 yards in 7 games. He ranks currently number 2 in yards of separation for the receiver, first in completion percentage against, and first in tight window targets forced.
Wow.
Charvarius Ward he's the real deal, man. He's a top level corner. He's done a fantastic job. We knew that they were getting a good player. They might have gotten a great player, which is something they were kind of killed for because they didn't go all in. Remember, they didn't go all in the offseason?
I didn't like this signing. I was like, you got the third best corner. Like, why don't you go get J.C. Jackson? Why don't you get a guy who's got like 30 picks in his career as opposed to this guy who's got 4? And I mean, I'm not saying J.C. Jackson was a bust. He got hurt. But Charvarius Ward, to his credit, still healthy. And what I've noticed about him, he's huge. He's a big dude. Big guy, like 6'1", 6'2", really athletic. And he's not necessarily like a playmaker per se. But, man, his man-to-man coverage, his press-man coverage is as good as anyone's in the league. And they have other playmakers in the secondary. So, had I known that Talanoa had been such a playmaker, I'd be like, yeah, get the best man-to-man corner on the free agent market for sure. Yeah, good signing.
He's been incredible. And so I think the moral of the story is what we just went through is they did a good job of building not only in-house talent and getting them ready for this year, but the guys that they went out and spent money on have been completely worth it for the most part. The 49ers did a really good job this offseason, and there were a lot of question marks, it's okay to have question marks. It's okay to have concerns. Doesn't mean you were wrong. Doesn't mean, whatever. But those concerns have been answered in a very, very big way. The 49ers crushed this offseason. They absolutely did.
Yeah, and they deserve credit for it. Only thing I would have said is don't bring back Jimmy commit to Trey. Don't run up between tackles. All that. Other than that, great offseason.
Yeah.
For real. Yep.
I agree. I agree with that.
And they did end up going all in for Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
Which is cool. It's just too bad that Emmanuel Mosley got hurt and Armstead. Those two injuries. Real quick, what's a bigger injury for the Niners? Armstead, Mosley?
Armstead.
I think it's Mosley. But anyway,
Really?
both are really big. I think they're both huge, though. But, like, man, the ability to play press man on both sides of the field, I think that took this defense to a whole different level. I don't know.
Okay, first of all, losing Mosley, I don't want to downplay either one of these guys.
They're both big.
Mosley was massive. I do.
Same with Armstead.
However, in the pass game, they still have. We'll see what happens with Verrett. He's starting to come back. We'll see what happens there. But they still have arguably a top, probably 3 corner in the league, as we showed. They have an elite safety, another elite safety in Ward, who's playing nickel corner, which is weird. But either way, yes, the 49ers have really good pass rushers outside of Armstead. However, they don't have run stuffers outside of Armstead. And Armstead right now, he is being missed up the middle in the run defense because Fred Warner is unable to keep clean. And they have been gashed in recent weeks in the run game. Fortunately for them, they've played the Rams twice, who can't run the ball on anybody to save their lives. The Chiefs were able to run the ball, but they still don't commit to running the ball like a lot of teams. The Falcons, who did commit to running the ball, were able to do it at freaking will. So Armstead is a big miss.
But hold on. The Falcons also were 13-14 in the passing game. Like, my thing with losing Mosley is the way D'Amico reacted to it. When he had Mosley and Charvarius Ward, he was like, I don't want to say. He was like very aggressive. Yeah. I'm playing press man against everyone, and it worked. As soon as he lost Mosley, he's like, I'm playing off. I'm playing conservative. I'm playing zone. Well, Mariota tore you apart. Offensive player of the week. Mahomes tore you apart. Stafford in the process of tearing you apart first half. And finally, D'Amico's like, why am I playing off? Like Ben Skoranek, Allen Robinson, they're not going to burn me. True. But what happens when you go against a team with weapons? Are you going to play that soft coverage again? Because, I mean, if you're going to play soft zone coverage, what's the point of having Charvarius Ward? You're taking him out of his comfort zone. So I'd like to see how D'Amico reacts. Maybe Jason Verrett comes back. And they can go back to playing that style, because that's what they need to do. Once you start playing off, there's so many quick, easy passes. You can negate the pass rush. You saw people screen the Niners to death. Like, come on, D'Amico, take that shit away.
The interesting thing, though, is that, and I talked about it last year, and I thought we would see a lot of press man last year and then again this year. Every corner that they brought in the last 2 years, whether through free agency or the draft, has been brought in. They are all press man guys, but they're not playing press man. In fact, you can make an argument that Mosley, out of all of them, is probably the least adapted to playing press man. So to me, I don't know, man. It's interesting. Ambry Thomas, I know, isn't great, but he played press man. Lenore was a press man guy as well.
In college.
Charvarius Ward, Verrett. It just doesn't make any sense to not play press man.
Well, when D'Amico loses his nerve, if he feels like he doesn't have the matchup advantage, he won't play it. But okay, like the alternative is to just let Mariota complete 90% of his throws. Like that's not an alternative. You got to live and die with that. And this is what these players did in college. This is what you brought them here to do. You can't all of a sudden lose your nerve and start playing off. That's a big one to me. Beyond Reasons ENT says, I really can't stand banana hands. It would be nice if we could run a system instead of relying on our game plan based on personnel. No more safety pick 6, Jimmy G. I feel you, man.
That's a pick 8, sir.
That's a pick 8, sir. Bobo0383 says, the way you describe Kyle kind of reminds me of Larry Brown. Larry Brown
was a really good basketball coach. Is that who he's talking about?
Oh, yeah. Larry Brown's... What are you talking about? Larry Brown was cool. He had the Pistons. Yeah, what are you talking about?
Legendary.
Champion. I don't know about that. Trey Niner says Mosley was the biggest loss. When Mosley was in, they can't stack the box. They can stack the box to stop the run and don't have to worry about corners getting beat one-on-one. I mean, I just feel like D'Amico changed a lot when he lost to Mosley. All of a sudden, his whole, I don't know. I think it was huge.
Here's what we haven't seen. We've seen. No, did we? We saw Mosley play without Armstead playing at least for a week or two. I thought we haven't seen Armstead without Mosley, so that's one thing that we haven't seen yet.
P.S. Our fan base wants you to do a show with Raj from our SF 49ers. All right, man. Well, tell him to DM me or like email me or something, man. Like
Raj is cool as hell. I like that guy.
Cool. Hey, tell him to hit me up. I'm in. I'm down.